are microflows? You talk about microflows in the book being related to baby steps. Can you explain this a little bit more? So, microflows is actually my terminology that I use for the book. Other people, I think Ariana Huffington calls it micro steps, BJ Fogg calls it tiny habits. But what it really relates to is, again, simplifying and really downsizing our wellness practices and our wellness routines and how much time and that we feel we have to spend on these things. Very often, I think, when we think about starting something new for our well-being, it's like, okay, I've got to take on this whole new way of eating, or I have to start this whole new exercise regime, or I have to meditate for at least 20 to 45 minutes, or and there's so many other elements of wellness, but those are the ones that people mostly think of. And so, what we use in behavioral science is really something that is about simplifying it, breaking it down, making it smaller and smaller so that it is doable. Because very often the reason why we don't stick with certain routines, or we don't even embrace them and kick them off, is because there's too much. It's too much of a challenge. We have all these mountains and obstacles in our way, and so from a brain health and neuroscience perspective, we just shut down. We say, okay, too much to tackle. Let's take the easy route, which is, eating the ice cream instead of doing something healthier or whatever it is. And so when I talk about micro flows, there's a concept in the book that comes out of positivity psychology, and it's called flow theory. Now, most people think of flow as, Zen, go with the flow, kind of California surf bum. I'm from California, so I can say that. But most people think of it being that, and it's really not. It comes from a psychologist who is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who really identified flow theory. And what he said is, if you combined your energy with an effort that you find enjoyable, so the three E's: energy, effort, and enjoyable. If you combine those 3 things, you will find your flow. And, we see this in, for instance, Olympic and professional athletes. We call it being in the zone. And what it means is you are spending time doing something that you love that requires a little bit of an effort and some energy, but you have no distractions. So it's very different from meditating, because a lot of people think, well, that's just meditation. Not really, because in meditation, you may be focusing on a mantra or your breathing, or a pose in yoga. This is something different. This is something where you're pursuing something that you really love that's enjoyable, but you have no distractions. And so in yoga or in breathing exercise, sometimes we get distracted. We have to bring ourselves back. Well, in flow theory, you won't even feel those distractions. And one of the stories that I tell in the book is around Sully Sullenberger and the Miracle on the Hudson. And I won't repeat it here because hopefully you'll buy the book and read about it. But he was in flow when he saved all of those 155 people, I think it was, on that plane that day, because he was using his flow of being a glider pilot. So you'll get to read a little bit more about that. But we don't have to be, a heroic pilot or an Olympic athlete to find flow. A lot of people find flow by reading a book and getting caught up in the story. Sometimes it's in baking, so you can feel the texture of the food that you're creating, the smells, you see the beautiful maybe colors, or the recipe coming together. That's another great one. Other people find flow being in their garden, but it really is where you don't have those distractions. You are just simply in this really enjoyable flow channel. And when we can find micro flows, so 5 minutes now, to bake a cake or something, it's going to take maybe half an hour, right? Maybe you've only got 5 minutes, so maybe it's just the smell of certain things that you might bake, and you're just smelling that and experiencing those smells for a bit. Or maybe instead of getting out in your garden and, needing to get your hands dirty and you've got so many other things going on, maybe it's just looking at your garden out through the window, or going and walking through the garden for 5 minutes. So those are the microflows, okay? Those are the breaking it down to small little steps that we can take, little 5 minute, 7-minute activities that you don't feel like you need to get completely immersed in it, but it is giving you that sense of flow even for a few minutes. And what it happens is it boosts things like your serotonin, it boosts your mood hormone so that you are feeling a little bit better. You have that sense of joy, you have that spark that actually helps us then continue on with some of the other challenges and responsibilities and activities of the day. So that's what microflows or baby steps are all about.